What if the cure to a dying billionaire's illness wasn't in money, wasn't in doctors, wasn't in the best hospitals of the world, but in the veins of a broken single father who had nothing left except his blood, his scars, and his heart? This is the story of how one man, forgotten by society, haunted by war, and raising a little girl alone, stepped into a world of power and despair, and how his sacrifice not only saved a life but changed his own forever. Stay with me, because the way this story ends will stay with you too. The city buzzed with whispers about her, Evelyn Grant, the CEO of Grant Industries. A woman of iron will who had built an empire from nothing, but now she was withering away. Doctors from across the world had flown in, machines worth millions surrounded her, and yet her body refused to respond. Her disease was rare, eating her from the inside out. Each day her skin grew pale, her breath weaker. The media reported her condition daily. Investors panicked. Her board members scrambled, but nothing mattered. Evelyn herself had stopped fighting. For the first time in her life, she felt powerless. But fate doesn't always move through the rich or powerful. Sometimes it chooses the broken. That broken man was Daniel Cole, a war veteran who once led men into battle with unshakable courage. Now, he was just a single dad working 2 jobs to keep food on the table for his little girl, Lily. At night, he would sit by her bed, telling her stories of bravery, even though his own spirit was crumbling. One evening, while donating blood at a local clinic, something Daniel did often to earn a small compensation, doctors noticed something unusual. His blood carried rare antibodies, resistant to conditions most couldn't fight. It was a unique genetic trait born from years of exposure to harsh conditions and trauma. The sample was flagged. Quietly, it was sent for further testing. And soon a call came from Grant Industries. Daniel thought it was a mistake at first. Why would the richest woman in the city want anything from a man who could barely afford rent? But when they told him his blood might be the only chance to save Evelyn, he froze. He remembered Lily. He remembered war. He remembered losing his wife in childbirth, the helplessness of watching someone die and being unable to stop it. This time he had a chance. Daniel agreed, though his heart trembled with fear. The doctors explained it wasn't a simple transfusion. His body would be taxed, drained again and again. There were risks, severe, even fatal ones. He signed the papers anyway. When Evelyn saw him for the first time, this rugged, tired man in worn boots, she was furious. "You expect me to believe this man will save me?" She snapped, her voice sharp despite her weakness. But Daniel didn't flinch. "I'm not here for your approval," he said quietly. "I'm here because I couldn't save someone once. I won't make that mistake again." And so the battle for her life began. Chapter 20, Blood and Heart. The treatment started. Day after day, Daniel sat in sterile white rooms while his blood flowed into Evelyn's veins. He felt his strength drain, his body weaken, but he never complained. Each time, Lily would wait outside with her sketchbook, drawing pictures of the lady Daddy was saving. At first, Evelyn resisted. She hated feeling weak, hated depending on someone else, especially a man who looked like he had nothing. But slowly something changed. She began to notice the way Daniel spoke to his daughter with tenderness. The way he never once asked for money, despite saving her life. The way his eyes carried both pain and kindness, a soldier's burden and a father's hope. One night, Evelyn collapsed again. Her heart nearly gave up. The doctors said she needed one last massive transfusion, more than Daniel's body should handle. The room was tense. Everyone told him no, even Evelyn, lying pale on the bed, whispered, "Don't do it. You'll die." But Daniel looked at Lily, then back at Evelyn. He remembered his promise to never watch someone slip away when he could do something. "I've faced death before," he said softly. "But if my blood means you live, then it's worth it." The transfusion began. His body trembled, his vision blurred. At one point Daniel nearly collapsed. Lily cried out, begging him to stop. Evelyn, with tears in her eyes for the first time in years, whispered, Why would you do this for me?" And Daniel, barely conscious, answered, "Because everyone deserves a second chance, even you." Hours later, Evelyn opened her eyes. For the first time in months, her body felt alive. The disease was retreating. The impossible had happened. She was healing. But across the room, Daniel lay unconscious, pale as death itself. His sacrifice had nearly killed him. Evelyn rose from her bed, weak but determined, and sat beside him. For the first time in her life, the woman who had everything realized she was nothing without the man who had given her the one thing money couldn't buy. When Daniel finally woke days later, Evelyn was there holding Lily's hand. Tears filled her eyes as she whispered, "You didn't just save my life, you saved my heart." The city would later call it a miracle. Newspapers would tell the story of how wealth and power had failed, but a soldier's blood and a father's love had prevailed. But for Daniel and Evelyn, it wasn't about headlines. It was about two broken souls finding healing in each other. And as Evelyn took Lily's hand and promised to protect her as if she were her own, Daniel realized something. Sometimes, the greatest battles aren't fought on battlefields. They're fought in hospital rooms, in broken hearts, and in the courage to give everything, even when you have nothing. In the end, the message is clear: money can buy doctors, hospitals, and machines, but it can never buy love, sacrifice, or the blood of a man who still believes in second chances.